This episode is brought to you by Philips One by Sonicare. One up your brushing with Philips One. It's a big step up from your manual toothbrush, with both rechargeable and battery-powered versions, so you can choose the one that best fits your life. Learn more at philips.com/one. That's PHILIPS.com/ONE.
Hey folks, would you like free tickets for the preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens? Well, you're in luck because our sponsor, Prosper Insurance, is giving a ticket to anyone who gets a home and auto quote with them. You don't even have to buy a policy to get the free ticket, although the savings will absolutely make you want to switch today. Finding the right insurance can be a pain, but Prosper makes the process easy, all while providing great service and advice. Their licensed advisors shop the market with top companies like Allstate, Nationwide, Progressive, Travelers, and more to find you the perfect coverage at a great rate, which is just a few of the many reasons why Prosper has over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google. You have nothing to lose. Simply visit prosper.insurance/Keim to get your quote and a free ticket to the Baltimore preseason game on August 28th. That's prosper.insurance/Keim, Keim, no.com. Get ready to feel good about your insurance.
Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Today, the voice of the Washington football team, Bram Weinstein, and I go over Washington's 17-13 win over Cincinnati in the second preseason game. We discuss running back Jaret Patterson. Can you really let this guy loose? Antonio Gandy Golden, and much, much more. You can follow Bram on Twitter at RealBramW and hear him on ESPN 630 Radio. And you can read my work, of course, on ESPN.com. And now, let's get to it. Here's my conversation with the voice of the Washington football team, Bram Weinstein. Well, Bram, they got the win. The result of the game is not what everybody wants to know about. What were your big takeaways from this one?
A few things, and I think there's one, and I get it. Joe Burrow didn't play, but 55 yards allowed in the first half. 55. I mean, that's an absurd number, especially when you're rotating in a billion different people, and you didn't start either of your starting corners. So I think in the end, they're going to be very happy with that. And again, I get it. Burrow didn't play, but that's a crazy number in the NFL. So that's a really good sign. Jaret Patterson, again, was tremendous. And they worked him in early in the game. So obviously they wanted to see him against someone else's ones or whatever combination of their ones were going to be there. And I think he is making it very difficult for them not to consider keeping four running backs or make a very tough decision about what three looks like. But it seems to be trending, in my opinion, towards four, because I know for a fact they like the other three and don't want to cut any of them. So that's becoming a difficult decision. And once again, Taylor Heineke's a gamer. Like, whatever you're seeing in practice, it is when the lights go on, he's a different dude. And again, I thought he performed pretty well. He has an incredible feel for the game, and I still don't think he's anywhere near becoming the starting quarterback.
No.
But you could just see what you like in him. And so those are really the three things I think that really stood out to me tonight.
Yeah, and you know, you're right about Heinicke. I didn't like the ball security coming up the middle when he had the run and he lost the ball. But he does do better in games than he does in practice right now. There's no doubt about that. With Patterson, the interesting thing there, and you brought it up, like, you know, you and I both know that they like whatever people want to say about Peyton Barber. The bottom line is this coaching staff likes him and sees a role for him. So to me, if Patterson makes it right now, based on what we know, and sometimes that changes, then it has to be four. So where do you take one less player? What's, you know, like, do you take just 9 offensive linemen?
I don't know. I mean, I just I really don't know. And that's really the problem here. And they're running into some good problems. I'll even go a step further with Barber, because I talked to some people this week about him, because he looks really good in camp. He clearly lost some weight. He's looked a lot faster. I don't think he had a lot of opportunities tonight. I'll take this a step further. Like, they were telling me he's going to have an increased role this year. So anyone who thinks like, well, Patterson's going to take his place, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Right.
That's not even close to reality right now. And obviously Gibson's in no danger of anything. And I don't think McKissick's in any danger of anything. I think they have to keep 4 running backs.
Yeah.
And so that means, so to your point, like, where do they get it from? I don't know, but one less offensive lineman is feeling very likely, dependent on whether it's 4 running backs or 7 receivers. Like, one of the two is going to happen here. So, and in all likelihood, it's starting to scream 4 running backs.
Well, and I'll tell you what, another key, Bram, with this is after the game when we were talking to Ron Rivera, and it was Patterson's kickoff return was brought up. And Rivera said, listen, if they can make it like it's a run, he can be very dynamic. You don't leave potential dynamic guys on the sidelines. So I think he can fill a role as that kick returner and a backup to McKissick in a 3rd down role. That's a good role for him right now. So I think that's also now becomes an avenue for him to make it. I was impressed with his return, not just because of the way he ran it, because the way he fielded the ball. He looked a lot more natural. The other day when I saw him in practice, didn't look as comfortable doing it as he did tonight, which tells you that it just took him a couple reps to get it right. But if you talk about a dynamic guy, you don't cut him. So I think he's like, and Bram, we've been around guys, the Lake Seastrunks of the world, Marcus Masons, guys that we knew probably weren't going to make it because of other reasons. I don't get the sense with this guy. I think this guy's a little bit different than that. Don't you think?
I do. We brought it up during the broadcast with D'Angelo, and I asked him, directly, how do you know when somebody's not just a summer hero and he's someone who can actually help you? And he was pretty effusive about Patterson. You know it when you see it. And I think that, like, the coaches putting him in as early as they did, that was done on purpose today. I think they wanted to see him against the ones. Yeah. I mean, like, they did a couple things that were really interesting, purposeful tonight. Like, Patterson played really early because I think they wanted to see him in those spots.
Yep.
And then they took those corners out, I think, for a reason. Like, they have these other corners. They wanted them to be forced to face number 1 receivers and just see how it goes. Yeah. And St. Juice was terrific, tonight. Up against, those are really, if Jamar Chase is everything they say he's going to be, certainly didn't look like it tonight, but like, if he's going to be everything they say he's going to be, no, he was not very good. A lot of alligator arms and drop passes and all that type of stuff. I know it's, small sample size and everything. I'm not claiming anything about him, but tonight was not a good look for the number 5 overall pick or whatever he was. Like, him, T. Higgins is good. Him, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, that's a very good trio if Chase is going to be what they say he's going to be. And they threw out Jimmy Moreland and St. Juice and McTire against them, and they had no problem handling them. And I know Burrow didn't play, but still, that's supposed to be advantage the other team, and it really wasn't. So, that was a good sign tonight.
What I liked with St. Juice is he had that one, he defended Jamar Chase on the 1 3rd down. I think it was a 3rd and 5, an inside slant. And what I liked there, and this to me is one of the things I liked about St. Juice, is his smarts. So they ran a play like that earlier in the game. He played him outside leverage, gave up the route inside. I think it may have been incomplete, but he gave up the route. And on this one, he noticed pre-snap, this is what I'm seeing. He shaded him to the inside and took it away. And I think that was a nice adjustment by him. So I agree with you. Like, I've been pleased with what I've seen from him. McTire's been kind of a pleasant surprise to me. And so it's been, I think he's done a nice job as well. The other guy that I thought jumped out a little bit was Antonio Gandy-Golden. And if you're looking at that last receiver spot, Dax Milne got more work with the ones. I saw him have some trouble getting off some press man. I think you can hide him on a practice squad. And, Steven Sims, DeAndre Carter, if you keep Patterson as a kick returner, maybe you don't need Carter in that role. And so maybe you're able to get Gandy Golden on there. What did you think of him?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you now. I mean, you've been selling to me all along. They're invested in Gandy Golden because they spent a mid-round pick for him, and he was their pick. He wasn't a carryover from the previous staff, and that means something. But all along, I've been watching and going, yeah, but if he's not going to make any plays or he can't get off the line, like at some point you have to make a decision. And the core is deeper than it's been in a long time, and they've got tough decisions to make. Steven Sims, when he gets cut, is going to get picked up. Like, he's going to play somewhere else. And so you got decisions to make. You got decisions to make here. But tonight I thought was a big moment. I think that 2-point conversion was a big deal for him to make that catch in traffic like that, like especially after the week before when he didn't complete that catch when they wanted him to. And he does have really good hands. I mean, like, he came in, everyone talks about all the crazy one-handed catches and all those things he would make when he was at Liberty. He does have really good hands. Like, I don't see breakaway speed from him, but he is tall. He is pretty physical. Maybe he can get more physical, and he's got very good hands. And so right now, off of tonight, I'm kind of on your side. Like, all along, I've been kind of leaning towards, I don't think they're going to keep him, but after tonight, I am more inclined to believe that he's going to make the roster.
Well, you know, the other key here, Bram, too, and at this point, you're going to read into comments and all that. So one of the reasons they drafted him was to make those 50-50 contested catches. Well, they saw that tonight. He was their 4th-round pick, and they saw some things tonight that was the reason they drafted him. So, I mean, they're still, like, I don't know how much he's actually going to contribute, and he can play on special teams because he's on the second kick coverage, and I think he's also on the number 2 units on one of the punt coverage units or something, or kick return blocking, something like that. So he does play in that area, but I think it's that, again, they want to see the downfield contested catches, and they saw that. And, you know, they saw that on the 2-point conversion. So where it's a contested situation, that's why they drafted him. And the guys that liked him are still here. So if you start to see what you liked from him before the draft, you start to see it manifest itself on the field, it leads you to keeping the guy. I want to go back to Patterson for one more minute, because one of the things that jumped out to me when we talked to guys in the press room afterwards is when you ask them about Patterson, their eyes light up. They are like, they start, when I was asking, I think it was Antonio, or somebody asked Antonio Gibson, and you can see him start to smile when he hears the name Patterson. They really like him. And this is like, there's something infectious about that kid.
Yeah. I just, this is one of those people where the more I watch him, the more I can't believe he wasn't drafted. Yeah. Like, that somebody didn't take him. And it's not like he played at a real program. Like, I know Buffalo's not Alabama, but this is not some D2 thing. And he had these moments where you think it would catch scouts' attention. Like, he scored like 6 or 7 touchdowns in a game, you know, like, yeah, I don't know what happened here. Like, it just must be he's short, and everyone just turned the page on him because he's short. But when you see him in person and you see the lower body strength that is the telltale sign of the right core for a running back, like, I don't know how he wasn't drafted by somebody. And it's feeling like he's a keeper. Now, like all this said, like, call me in 2 months when he probably has 8 carries total, you know, right. Because what are they taking the ball out of Gibson's hands or taking it out of McKissick's hands? No, they're not. So, you know, short of injury where they have to lean on him and find out what he can do in the real games, I still don't think you're going to see a ton of them. But I don't think you can cut him right now.
No, I think so.
Too much has happened here over the last couple of weeks, and they profiled him tonight. So, you know, that isn't to cut him, especially the way he performed.
And I think it also, Bram, it's also sometimes you see those guys that put up big numbers who don't get kept because it's what are you showing within that game. I think what he shows, more so than the numbers, it's what he shows, which is why you keep him. He shows the ability he plays bigger than he is. And you see him, and there was a couple runs where he's squeezing through the lineman. He can hide behind them, but he can squeeze through a narrow gap that other guys can't. They can't surprise a guy going through that gap. So he shows some things that make him valuable. I also always thought that when they got him, he was, and Ron Rivera's talked about this. He compares him to Darren Sproles, a third down back. Well, you don't really need him in that role right now because you got McKissick. But I always thought you got drafted. You signed this guy to hopefully develop him into McKissick's replacement because his contract's up after this year. So you got him here this year, and I think we'll see his best stuff obviously in the future or maybe next year. But yeah, I mean, so I'm with you on there. I'm finding a way to keep him, and I don't always like jump into that after just a game or two because we see how things change. But I do think you're right. There's something different with this kid.
This episode is brought to you by Disney Plus. Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus? Stream all your favorites with the Disney Bundle. Disney Plus has Loki and Luca. On Hulu, watch originals like American Horror Story and 9 Perfect Strangers. And ESPN Plus has every match of Spain's thrilling La Liga. Get the Disney Bundle today for only $13.99. Includes Hulu ad-supported plan. Access content from each service separately. Terms apply. See thedisneybundle.com for details. This episode is brought to you by Disney Plus. Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus? Stream all your favorites with the Disney Bundle. Disney Plus has Loki and Luca. On Hulu, watch originals like American Horror Story and 9 Perfect Strangers. And ESPN Plus has every match of Spain's thrilling La Liga. Get the Disney Bundle today for only $13.99. Includes Hulu ad-supported plan. Access content from each service separately. Terms apply. See thedisneybundle.com for details.
Let's talk about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy football for big cash prizes. On Underdog Fantasy, you just draft. No need to worry about waivers, lineups, or injuries. Underdog handles it all for you. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft a season-long best ball team, and that's it. No in-season management. They're going to give you $25 when you sign up so you can take a free shot at a $1 million grand prize in their fantasy football tournament. That's right. You can get a free $25 in bonus cash on Underdog Fantasy if you use the code Keim, K-E-I-M, when you make your first deposit. I love Underdog because it's just so easy to use. The mobile app is slick. The website is user-friendly. So do what I've been doing. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com, join a league, draft a team, and that's it. You're good for the season. Remember, go to UnderdogFantasy.com, the App Store, or the Google Play Store, sign up with the code Keim, K-E-I-M, and get a free $25 in bonus cash. What do you think of the first offense?
More and more, the word I think consistency is going to come up here. Whether they're going to be capable of it early. They're mixing and matching the offensive line. That's fine. It appears they're going to settle on who the 5 are. And my gut is Flowers is going to start at left guard. And the others seem to be falling into place and seem to be the way that they're going with the other 4. Curtis Samuel will eventually get on the field. We'll see how they use him. Antonio Gibson's not being utilized the way I think they intend. So we'll see how they use them. And, Fitzpatrick is up and down, even in the short sample sizes we've seen, but that's been his career up and down. So I'm concerned that early there's not going to be a tremendous amount of consistency. But what I lean on early, if they're not going to be an offense that you can rely on to have long drives or consistently, put together some, decent drives, is their big playability is so much higher now.
Right.
And they have people that not only can make big plays, but they have the quarterbacks who have the willingness to try for the big plays, that they feel like a baseball team that leans on the 3-run home run. They're not really that good of a lineup, but you get in the right spot in the right inning and the guy hits the 3-run home run, you win anyway because your defense and your pitching is good enough. And that's how I kind of see them at this moment. And they just haven't played enough to really, I think, come to a judgment. But that's my gut, is that the way it's trending right now, to think that they're going to be working on whatever all cylinders means for them, I think is a little pie in the sky. So, but that doesn't mean they can't win, because if they're able to make a big play here, a big play there, have a really good drive somewhere along the way, play pretty clean. Like, that's another thing here. They've had 5 penalties in 2 games. That's really good.
Right.
Like, that's really good. They've had a couple of turnovers. That's really good. Like, they're trending in ways where they don't make mistakes to hurt themselves. And if they have some big plays, maybe that's enough with the defense that they have until they figure out what their rhythm is. But I don't see it yet. And I think that's a concern to have, whether they're going to be able to foster any real rhythm in the first few real games.
I agree with that. And I think, some of that's obviously Fitzpatrick talked this week about how he was adjusting to a new offense and a different way that they look at it compared to how he's in other offenses he's been. And so that's going to take a minute. Curtis Samuel's not out there. And I think they need to get that run game going. I think if that's a big part of it, then they're going to be okay. And the one guy, it's funny because we haven't talked about Keim Brown had a big play too. And that's what he was brought here for, is to make those downfield plays. And he did. And I thought that's something that Fitzpatrick has thrown well. I like the throw to Logan Thomas, even though it was just a short, shallow crosser. What I liked is the way that first Thomas sold the block, and then I liked how Fitzpatrick basically brings the defense over to his left with his eyes, quickly works back to the right to get Thomas a good play, but the consistency just wasn't there. And it looked like you'd have a good drive going, and then you don't. You don't pick up the short yardage with Gibson, which was disappointing. But I agree with you. I think it's going to take a minute for this offense to get going, and it doesn't help that Samuel's missed as much time as he has.
I agree. They seem, and I believe them, like not overly worried about that thing, like as if he's going to come in seamlessly and work. And I don't know, like, is everyone going to be on the same page when they get around to that? I don't know, and that's why I think it's going to take some time. But they have so much big play capability now that if they can just hit on some of it, it might be enough. And I do really want to see what it looks like, because last year they played from behind every week, often by double digits every week. Yeah. And amazingly, considering how kind of, nickel and dimey their offense was the whole year, they were in a lot of the games anyway, which is really amazing that it never went the wrong way on them. Well, if they could get some leads, well, now we're talking about, the weapon of all weapons.
Right. You
take a run game away from the other team. Let's see what that looks like against this team. And so, I'm hanging my hat on, if they can figure out a way to hit on some big plays and some big spots, it may negate the need for them to have a very consistent, running on all cylinders type of offense.
Well, in the past, they'd have to go 15-play drives all the time, and it's a tough way to live in the NFL. That's why Samuel, Brown, and even Terry obviously can do that too. You have multiple guys who can take it to the house on one play, and so that's a good thing. Any last thoughts? Anything with Jamin Davis jump out at you? Anything else you want to add with or close with?
I'm interested to look back. He did make one really good play, plugging a hole in a run. So that was pleasant to see that. Again, it happens live, so I need to kind of rewatch some of this stuff. I think it's a hard one to watch. I think, again, even late, like, I like this William Bradley King guy. He just seems to be kind of all over the place, and maybe he's because their D-line is so deep, maybe he is a player that they shelve on their practice squad, and probably will end up being that. But I did like seeing what he had done tonight, and I still feel like we just, I don't know what they're going to do. I guess that's probably a good thing, because I believe in their confidence that they know what they're going to do, but I certainly don't. And I also did appreciate how purposeful this game really felt tonight. Like, we're going to test these corners against real number one receivers, even against the backup quarterback. I like that. This guy Patterson showed us some stuff. Let's put him out there with the ones and see what that looks like tonight. Right. I felt like there were some very purposeful things that happened, and I'm with you. The result doesn't matter. I think they're happy they won. I mean, I do. And I'll say this too. I think Kyle Allen, I get it, playing with the threes and all, but he looked smooth. He looked like he was moving around, so I thought that was a nice sign to see. Yeah, that was good. He looks pretty healthy. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. All right, number 2 in the books. Thanks a lot, Bram.
All right.
That's it for this episode. Thanks to Bram for joining me, and thank you for tuning in. I'll be back with another episode Monday. Talk to you next time.